Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Legacy Tour Huntsville. I am Zachary Cuck, your host, and I am joined by Drake Sasser, my co-host.
How's it going, y'all?
All right, so we are here for the semifinals. James Hess on the left is playing Elves, or Chaos Elves, I guess it's called, a variant on the Elves archetype, and Josh Wheeler from some of the videos earlier is playing Tezzerator. Drake, how do you feel about this matchup?
I don't know. This matchup, I mean, James can get hit by an early chalice pretty hard, and that's what the Tezzerator deck seems to like to want to do as part of its main strategy. It has a lot of the mud kind of lock elements. It has like an ensnaring bridge, which I'm not sure if mud plays, but still, it's a lock. It's a prison piece, and it has chalice, and all those pieces are really good against James. But James, he's pretty good. He knows what he's doing, and
most notably, he's on the play.
Yeah, he's on the play, so he can at least get a one drop out, just kind of get things rolling and have at least some pressure before chalice comes down.
Well, and in my opinion, the really important thing. Oh, geez, Josh has a main deck Graph
A
Digger's
main
Cage.
deck Graph Digger's Cage, and he sees it turn one. What a card. Okay.
Well, as a one of, that's the kind of thing that you're already having if you have cards like Tezzerator, the Seeker, and what's the other one? Transmute Artifact, I think.
Yeah.
So like you can have like Silver Bullet artifacts like that. But if you're gonna naturally draw it, that's even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what I was gonna say is, assuming Josh did not have an opening Graph Digger's Cage, getting out on an early Deathrite Shaman is really beneficial for James because it turns on any Green Sun Zeniths he has to, like, say a turn one Chalice came down, he would be able to go find Reclamation Sage and get out from under it.
Well, what would you think if he had the line available? What would you think of like grabbing a Gaddock Teague here on turn 2? It shuts off all his Planeswalkers, and
that's actually a really good.
And it shuts down Chalice, right? Because it's X in the
It's an X spell, yeah.
So I think that would be a pretty good piece to go ahead and power out turn 2 if he hadn't seen the turn 1 Graph Digger's Cage. Provided he can call its Tezzerator early on. I'm not sure how many Island Graph Digger's Cage decks there are.
Yeah, and at this point, most of the remaining players know what their opponents are on. So
right.
I think it's out. Oh man, is that a
Sylvan Library? That's what it looks like. That's pretty good, I think. I mean, in a slow, grindy deck like Tezzerator, I imagine it'll be a pretty key player here. I'm not sure.
Tezzerator surely can't kill you quickly. So
right, I'm not sure if he had a counterspell if he would use it there. Like I said, I don't know the numbers on what Tezzerator plays as far as its typical counterspell suite.
Normally, I think it's just the quad set of
the Force of Wills.
Yeah.
Right. Now, like I said, I don't know what your primary force targets are because I haven't played the Tezzerator matchup terribly much as against Elves. I haven't played Tezzerator much at all. So your force targets, I would imagine, would be always emergency things. Like, for instance, Green Sun Zenith would seem like a typical great target. But
yeah, or in this case, a card like James doesn't have
Natural
Order.
Yeah.
But and actually having the Graph Digger's Cage, it's irrelevant. But assuming none of those things were true, like they did have Natural Order and there was no Graph Digger's Cage, that would be a surefire target, right? Like you can't let something like that resolve because James might go find Craterhoof Behemoth and just end the game.
Absolutely.
Looks like James took an extra card there. Yeah, he's down to 14.
Yeah, here we go. We got a Visionary. Now he's got Deathrite Men up, I think, because he had fetched, so he should be able to deploy a Symbiote.
There's still one fetch land left, yeah.
And I think you want to go ahead and get the Symbiote out, get the Visionary lock going, and that's really going to help once again with the card advantage for keeping things going. He also has a land drop here, which Chaos Cradle's the best one.
Draw a Guy's Cradle, that'll get you there.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I think he has another fetch land as well, so James has plenty of mana.
Oh yeah.
As long as he has something to do with it.
It's interesting to see the Tezzerator deck open on double basic. It's a deck that has a lot of fast mana, has City Traders, has Ancient Tomb, has, as you see, Mana Rocks. Yeah, and so like opening on double basic, don't get me wrong, it's good against decks with Wasteland, but like this is not a deck with Wasteland, and provided he knows what he's playing against, I assume he probably kept the hand just based on the turn 1 Graph Digger's Cage to help shut things down. I'm not sure how much action's left in his hand to proceed with this game.
Well, this would be the turn where the good stuff would start happening, right? Like the 4-mana Planeswalkers is where Tezzerator really takes off. Although it looks like it's...
Maybe he's missing a land drop, that's why he has to play the artifact thing. Like maybe he doesn't have another land in hand here. I don't know if he...
That seems to be the case.
He has a land drop but has not yet played one. Ooh, a Transmute.
So he pays a life with the Talisman of Blue-Black. I forget the name of those.
Dominance?
Yeah.
Dominance is, I believe it.
And now we're going to transmute for either a 2 or 1-mana artifact. You have to pay the difference in the mana cost with this?
Right. I kind of I don't know, maybe it's bad, but like with a Graph Digger's Cage out, I almost want to like grab an ensnaring bridge with it. That would seem. I mean, his hand's not down there enough yet.
Right.
Like,
well, and
that seems like one of the more key artifacts. What is
he also can't get an ensnaring bridge without having a spare mana.
So maybe he's trying to draw a card to get his land drop here, since it's reasonable to assume he's not going to
get a chump blocker.
Yeah, get a chump blocker, something. Just put yourself on the board, kind of force him to rethink some of his attacks, and try to hit a land drop. I imagine the line he's taking here. I don't know how much inevitability. I'm not sure which deck has the true inevitability the later the game goes, because the 4-mana planeswalkers are good and all, but
so
they die pretty easy to. Yeah, exactly. They die pretty easy to a bunch of creatures. So, they're not going to do you any good if you get like one activation and then just die. It looks like he does not make his land drop.
Oof, that's rough. And a second Gaia's Cradle is available here. If James has like the Crater Hoof in hand, for instance, this would just be the end of the game. Well, you could actually hard cast it here and just crush Josh.
Well, he's got Llanowar. Looks like Llanowar Elves, Gaia's Cradle, and Green Suns. Most of those cards are not terribly good because Green Suns is blanked, and the second Gaia's Cradle you don't really want to play until you have the kill ready to go.
Right.
Now he could probably Green Suns into the Crater Hoof here. Let's see.
Well, he can't with the Grafdigger's Cage.
Yeah, exactly. Like if he had the mana for it, it'd be pretty good, but he cannot.
James is taking 2 cards, one of which was the Cradle. That actually kind of looked like a Crater Hoof. Yeah.
Yeah, he has a Crater Hoof already in hand. I don't think he drew it off the library because the library.
No, but I think he already had one, so
put another.
So he's just gonna max out on mana and. So now it is worth noting here that I think we missed this a second ago. Transmute Artifact for Baleful Strix is not a legal play. There's a Grafdigger's Cage on the table. So Josh's Grafdigger's Cage should have prevented him from putting a Baleful Strix onto the battlefield because creatures can't enter from the library. Although with Crater Hoof in hand, it doesn't actually matter.
Right.
So anyway, let's take a second to talk about the Legacy Tour Huntsville. Now, this is the event you're watching, although the one advertised is the one coming up in just about 2 weeks. On March 26th at JC's House of Cards. Worth noting here, the entry fee has gone up to $20, and the proxy limit has dropped down to 4 cards. So basically, you're allowed a play set of playtest or proxy cards to help complete any deck you wanted to play. But we're working towards sanctioning the event, so there won't be any proxies here in the near future. So, but with that additional entry fee price, the prizes here could get pretty legitimate. I think we'll offer some dual lands and the like. Anyway, let's go to the sideboards and see what we think we're gonna swap in, swap out. I'll let Drake start off. He's got James's list, so.
All right, so James S here has 4 Abrupt Decays, 4 Cabal Therapy, a Caracas, a Maelstrom Pulse, a Malira, a Null Rod, a Pithing Needle, a Surgical, and a Thoughtseize. I really like Abrupt Decay here. Answers those early chalices, answers ensnaring bridges, stuff like that. Maelstrom Pulse, if you think you need another effect to go ahead and get rid of those artifacts. Null Rod can be okay. It shuts down the Foundry, the one that makes the dudes, and that can really do a lot for you. And Pithing Needle once again is probably even better because it hits the walkers too.
Yeah,
so
that can hit
planeswalkers.
Not ensnare, but it can hit Thopter Foundry, which is the 2-card combo. It can also name any of the planeswalkers to shut them down.
Right. And if you have extra outs, you can bring in Thoughtseize, just to kind of help with your early game, just kind of disrupting them because their hands can be kind of sketchy. They don't have that, they don't have any cantrips because they're a chalice deck, so they're not going to be able to make their hand better as the game goes on. So you can kind of help with that.
So on Josh Wheeler's side, we've got a pair of Chills, not the right matchup for that. An Engineered Explosives, which I imagine is great since almost every creature costs 1 mana out of James's deck. A second Ensnaring Bridge, which I think is great. A pair of Flusterstorms, probably not the card you're looking for here. Now, against a normal version of Elves, maybe, because countering natural order is good, but James's version actually doesn't have any natural orders, so the Flusterstorms, he might bring them in not knowing, but in general, I think they're actually not the card you want here. Helm of Obedience, I don't think this is the matchup for that. I think that's for matchups where they have cards like Rest in Peace, Graveyard Hate.
Absolutely.
Same thing with Leyline of the Void. Leyline of the Void, I think, is a very niche card. It's good against Dredge or decks that want to abuse their own Reanimator. But it's not the yard. It doesn't stop Deathrite Shaman as well as you'd want it to, because it doesn't affect your own graveyard. Lodestone Golem is actually probably a good one here because none of James's cards are artifacts, so it will actually increase the mana cost of all of his elves and prevent him from Glimpse of Nature combo kills.
Right.
Misdirection. If he anticipates the Abrupt Decays, Misdirection could be good. I don't know that Josh would go down or would try to second or
Next level.
Yeah, next level. That's the term I was looking for,
Right.
James. In that way, Neil Spellbomb is probably not what we're looking for, and Trinisphere seems great.
Yeah, Trinisphere seems awesome. I
That'll
really like the
that'll shut
Trinisphere
off.
here.
That's basically another chalice. It just shuts off Elves' ability to combo kill or to play a bunch of guys in a turn. I think most likely cuts are probably, well, the Abyss seems pretty bad against a deck that can pump out that many creatures. You could probably argue some number of the mana rocks are not necessary. And if he's aware of James's build of Elves not having the natural order combo kills, you could actually justify cutting some of the Force of Wills. But
I mean, having played on the Miracles side of the Elves matchup, some of the Planeswalkers aren't typically very good because Jace doesn't protect himself as well as you want him to when they have that
that's
many
true.
creatures.
That's very
so
true.
I think it's like he has 9 Planeswalkers in his main deck. I think it has to be right to probably cut some of those, and it really helps cut down your mana curve too, so you can get on the board early.
Yeah, and in this case,
on the board.
Jace the Mind Sculptor is actually his weakest Planeswalker. You can see there's only 3 copies in the deck, and of all the Planeswalkers you can draw, it's actually the one you want the least, which is a sort of a rare thing to say in Legacy.
Absolutely.
Or in any format for that matter.
Right. As far as Elves go, I don't really know what to take out. I assume they shave a lot of one-ofs, for their combos and stuff like that. So it'd be cards like that aren't terribly good, but I've doing sideboarding, especially with Chaos Elves where you don't have natural orders.
Right.
I don't think taking those out, and you can't cut Green Suns even though he has Grafter's Cage.
Right.
Some number of them, you definitely can't cut it because that's your only version of that's your only card that tutors the things you need. You don't have natural orders and stuff like that you would normally, I think, be able to shave a few of in this matchup.
Yeah, and in order for Green Suns to be bad, Josh has to find or draw into Grafdigger's Cage. He really has no other hate pieces to stop it. So that game was probably not a good example of what typically happens. Like, I would think normally Josh would have to work really hard to find a Grafdigger's Cage, and James, if that's the case, then so be it. But in general, the Green Suns is still going to be really powerful. I'd want to keep it in.
I mean, Cage isn't even the end-all be-all. As you can see, you can obviously just hard draw into Craterhoof, just cast it and kill him.
Yeah, and I think James's version here has a pair of Craterhoofs this weekend. So
okay. That seems
that's pretty standard. It's just it does mean that if it's not just a one of, it's a little easier to draw it.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I really like Green Suns over, even if you had natural order, I would really like it over natural order. I'm not sure, like, you would cut even the full amount of them, but I think you could probably safely cut 2 if you had them. Because, like I said, being able to tutor up a Gaddock T against this deck seems pretty strong. It shuts down a lot of their interaction, and so pretty much the only thing you have to worry about is their ability to combo off with the Thopter Sword, just make a bunch of dudes, gain a bunch of life, to where you're not going to be able to outvalue them until you can Craterhoof. And you got to do that soon because they'll gain a lot of life, make a lot of dudes, and so
actually, it's worth noting here, because James is on the Chaos Elves version. Even some of his hate pieces that he's bringing in aren't going to be good enough, or aren't going to be a complete lock. Like normally, an Ensnaring Bridge is a very problematic card, right? Because Elves has to attack to win. But this version has Shaman of the Pack, which can go around the bridge. Like you can just deploy, I don't know, 15 Elves and then cast Shaman of the Pack several times, and I don't care how much Thopter Foundrying you do, you're not gonna survive 30, 45
Shaman
life
over and over
swings.
again. Yeah, with the Wirewood Symbiote, I've always loved that card. When it first came out, I was like, I think Elves should be playing this card, at least as a one-of, because you tutor it up, you have a bunch of dudes, around bridges or whatever, a bunch of blockers, you can just bounce it with Symbiote and snipe them to death.
Oh yeah,
with it. I think the card is fantastic in Elves. I've always liked that card. I've heard a lot of people say it's kind of iffy, but I don't know. It just seems like the type of card I would want to be playing because it really allows you to switch axes when you need to, of being able to kill your opponent.
Well, I think it also fits into the deck really well. It's a black and green card, so like they don't have to stretch their mana base at all. The sort of the traditional build of Elves, whether it be this Chaos Elves version or the more classic version, they both run black or Bayous in their deck. So like it's not even like it's a difficulty to cast it.
Right.
Looks like both players are on a mulligan to 6, and they have resolved their scry rules.
What? He brought in multiple Leyline of the Voids in this matchup.
Ooh.
What do you think that's for?
You can justify to some degree trying to fight Deathrite Shaman, although I think that's shaky ground. My guess is he's trying to provide himself the combo out of.
You think he's trying to helm him?
Of Helm of Obedience, yeah.
He's open with another basic here. I'm not sure how many basics this list plays, but it would seem like you'd want a lot of mana. Hey, check that.
Seems like he draws a lot of them.
Yeah, right. Got Dimir Signet and an Academy Ruins.
Oh, so if he finds the Ensnaring Bridge, that could be savage.
Yeah. I don't know if I saw. I know James has brought in the Maelstrom Pulse. I saw it either in his first hand or his second hand. I can't get a good look at this hand to affirm if it's in his hand currently or not, but it does look like he does have a Maelstrom Pulse in hand. So you could get the kind of pseudo value for Maelstrom Pulse in Leyline of the Woods, but I think it's probably just bad. I don't think you care too terribly much. Even though you're fetching right now, you have a death right. I still don't think you care.
Well, and Josh plays fetch lands of his own, so if you're really, really concerned about the death right making mana, there's a good chance at some point it'll be available.
Well, I imagine Josh is gonna be, savvy and not fetch with a death right now. I mean, unless he has an unbelievable amount of mana and you're losing more by keeping your fetch land up, I'd imagine he wouldn't want to fetch to turn his death right on as another mana source. But yeah, like we could be interesting. Like James could get Helm of Obedience here
and that would just be the end of the game.
Yeah, that would just be. I don't think he would see it coming. That seems pretty spicy.
So he goes with Elvish Visionary. I know he had a Nettle Sentinel in hand.
He likes his Visionaries in this matchup. That was the two things he played last game was Death Rights and Visionaries, and so here we are starting with the same strategy.
Well, ironically, the innocuous common from Shards of Alara is actually like a linchpin piece of the deck. And what is this? An Ensnaring Bridge.
Hey, check out the Ensnaring Bridge with the Academy. This is looking pretty good so far for Mr. Josh. He just needs to get his hand on empty, which it's worth noting. Leyline really helped with that, emptying your hand early on for Ensnaring Bridge. What does he have, like one or two cards in hand?
One card left, yeah.
Yeah, so Craterhoof here is not gonna be attacking.
No, Craterhoof's actually a really bad draw at this point.
Right.
Because even if James can cast it, it'll make all of his creatures too large to attack.
Absolutely.
So there is a
glimpse of nature.
Glimpse of nature. Yeah, we got a little bit of glare, but I think I saw it.
And a Nettle Sentinel. There it is. So he needs a Heritage Druid here.
I think that was a Birchlore Rangers.
I still don't think he can cast it. Does he have the land in hand?
He has at least one fetch land. But like I said, I saw a Birchlore Rangers, so that'll at least make some mana.
We can really get cooking if he's got the Heritage Druid right now. Let's see what we got. Looks like we're checking life totals here. I assume he's fetched twice.
Yeah, 2 fetch lands. The life totals are on the screen, I think, are correct.
Okay, sounds good.
Not sure what exactly we're confirming, but there should be a land incoming, and then, like I said, it looked like a Birchlore Rangers, so assuming James has a lot of stuff to do, like 1 mana spells to play, he can certainly generate a lot of mana and potentially make use of that Glimpse of Nature.
Yeah, maximizing your glimpse value seems really important here, because once again, Josh has still not seen a Chalice on one, either turn 1 or turn 2 in either of these games. And I really think that's one of the more important cards in the deck. Like, seeing the turn 1 Grafdigger's Cage game 1 was pretty important, but he didn't seem to have too much follow-up. He probably knew he was on the Elves matchup, kept the hand around Grafdiggers, and didn't really draw into too much action, and just kind of died to Elves.
Yeah.
Like, just hard Elves, no Green Suns necessary. Here we go, another Death Right. That one's not going to be tapping for mana either. We still got Leyline.
So maybe it was not a Birchlore Rangers I saw. I thought that's what he had, and I would assume he would have played that if he could, just because it would allow him to he could have cast the Death Right then afterwards.
He would have been able to get a little bit more mana going on here. Still drawing 2 cards isn't bad. There's an Ancient Tomb. We finally found some fast mana. It's probably his draw for turn, I'd imagine.
It looks like no use for it, though.
Yeah.
Oh, now he didn't play any spells, which means his hand is either a counterspell that he couldn't cast or another land, which is why he can't empty his hand out for the Ensnaring Bridge.
Right. Which means his James's 1-power creatures are at a premium here. We see him
tagging for 3
red
again.
Zone for 3.
Well, that Guy's Cradle means there's a lot of mana available to Hess if he has something to do with it.
Yeah, but unless you have a bunch of 1-power creatures to go ahead and unload, it's not going to do too much. All it does is commit more things to the board.
Well, at this point, something like an Abrupt Decay or Reclamation Sage is what he's really looking for.
I assume the Maelstrom Pulse is probably not in his hand. I mean, probably wouldn't deploy it here if he didn't have any other creatures anyway. Hey, look, there's the Chalice.
Only 4 turns too late.
Right. When he has, 3/1 drops down. It's still good. It prevents him from dumping more stuff as he draws it. Right. He just has to deal with these 3 creatures, and we might start seeing this game, turn the corner for Josh.
So we did not see a land drop that turn.
So
Again,
it's probably a counterspell
indicating that whatever is in Josh's hand, it's something he cannot play right now. Like it must be.
He still has Helm as an
reactive.
out. Any draw step, he draws Helm. We're there. Because I think he can now play and activate, right?
Yes. Yeah. It would cost 4 mana to play. He could even play it with a transmute artifact. If he sacrifices Ensnaring
Right.
Bridge.
It looks like we have. There we go. Looks like we have City of Traders Talisman in his hand currently.
I wonder why he didn't play the City of Traders. That would stop any attacks from James.
You think he's trying to build up mana for some reason?
Possible.
What is he
I
trying
can't
to cast?
figure
1, 2,
why
3,
that would
4,
happen.
5, 6, 7, 7 mana. Maybe he's valuing his.
He would have 9. I can't imagine what you do with 9 mana. Like why he wouldn't play out that last land. James opts not to sacrifice his fetch land into turn.
You know, it might just be like the Tezzerator mentality, because within Sternbridge you always keep one card in hand. That way, when you get your Thopter Sword thing online, all your dudes can attack, and typically their dudes can't. And so it might just be him sticking with the mentality of, hey, I really want to keep one card in hand so that when I draw into these pieces, I'm gonna be able to get that kind of thing going. Now, I don't think it's terribly correct here.
No.
But, I mean, I can't really think of too many other reasons you want to play City of Traders. Like, I can't imagine him needing more mana than what he needs now, so playing lands later. But I guess there is that. If he plays more lands after that as he draws them, he's going to lose them.
Right, he'll lose them, and that would turn on Deathrite Shaman. But at this point, the Deathrites are irrelevant. They're just 1/2
Once again, we're at
attackers.
that point in the game where he has so much mana that turning on Deathrite is probably a lot better than you having a card in your hand and keep
Right.
taking 3 until you die.
James has access to 8 mana or more. I don't see why.
He also, I mean, there's a lot of things he really wants to find here too. He wants to find a second Ensnaring Bridge. He really wants, because if he blows one up, he can't Academy the one until the next turn. So he's willing to play that land out, no problem. But he's keeping that city, I think, in his hand. I'm not sure what he's keeping in his hand for.
I don't know how many turns you get to do this before you just die. Now James is willing to sacrifice the fetch land because the math works out if he finds Dryad Arbor here that Josh will just die in 2 attack steps.
Right,
And
yeah.
there's the Dryad Arbor, sure.
That makes the math nice and clean. So we'll see. We'll see if the turn before he dies, I can't imagine Josh not playing the land this turn. I mean, I think obviously he can't play 2 lands, but if he doesn't draw a land, I think he needs to play it next turn. But yeah, you're right. That one turn he missed the land drop's kind of punishing him because he's drawing a lot of lands.
Yeah, and you're just sort of risking dying for reasons you could have prevented, right? Like
Right.
you could have stopped this, and you'd really hate to lose with a land in hand when you had the opportunity to get rid of it.
Once again, we're assuming that what I saw is the City of Traders. I mean, I think I got a pretty good look at the City of Traders, but
Yeah.
I just can't think of a terribly good reason why that card
That's an abrupt decay.
would be.
Abrupt decay can
Does that
take
just
out
close
the
it
bridge.
now?
1, 2,
3,
3,
4, 5, 6? No, I'll leave it 2. But it means it shuts off both his ancient tombs, which I'm not sure how much that matters. But it keeps the helm from killing him. If he can sniff out the helm, it would be probably worth doing. It looks like he just tapped for a ton of mana. Does he have a Crater Hoof for access to one?
Oof. Yeah, something big is happening.
Because he tapped the Gaia's Crater, right, and sacked the other one. Is that what just happened?
Yeah, so that's 10 mana or upwards of 10 mana. Well,
Yeah, there.
okay,
that's-
Green Suns is essentially the same.
Oh, so it was a Force Will, not a City. That makes a lot more sense.
So he didn't opt to counter anything prior to. Oh, I guess the reasoning here is if you counter something earlier, then Green Suns can find Reclamation Sage, which takes away your bridge.
Right.
So he was willing to take the hits as long as he could afford to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like the coloration on it kind of looks like City of Traders. Now here's something worth noting. I think he probably should have upkeeped Activate Academy
To get back the
put the
Ensnaring
Ensnaring
Bridge.
Bridge on top and play Ensnaring Bridge, and that keeps him alive for the turn. But whatever.
Did he have enough mana to? I wasn't sure.
I don't think he did. He had 5 mana, so it takes 3 to activate. No, he was a land off. So yeah, he couldn't. So he
Okay.
had to just flat draw another bridge. Yeah, that's right. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, there you have it, folks. James Hess takes this match 2-0. Stick around. We will be back for the finals of the Legacy Tour Huntsville.